So for Pixelmash 2021.3, we've added this new opacity section to the particle effects. This is handy for all sorts of fading of particles in and out, which is obviously useful for all sorts of things. For this animation here, we've got this freshly baked baguette, and we've got the steam particles fading out over time in a somewhat natural way. So let me quickly give you an overview of how this animation is working. Here's the opacity section. But I'll show you how these particles are working overall. Let me turn off the other two and we'll just focus on this middle one here. So we've got it set up as a stream type, which means the particles are all being emitted from the spot where you put the original one. And we've got it set at 4 particles per second. We've got this pre-roll here. The start time is -5, which means 5 seconds elapse before the animation starts, which gives the particles time to get all the way to the top before the animation starts, which is very handy. We've got the motion set straight up at a speed of 8. And we've got a slight variation in scaling, so the particles start at slightly different sizes from each other. And then we've got the wobble, which is doing quite a bit of work because it's giving it that side-to-side motion. The wobble is always perpendicular to whichever direction the movement is in. So with the movement going up, the wobble is going side to side. And we've got a little bit of randomness, so each of the particles is wobbling slightly different from each other. Okay, and then we get to the opacity section. So let me turn everything off here. To show you what it would be like without any opacity settings. So first we've got our start level, which is just the starting opacity for each particle. And then we've got start range, and what start range does is it randomizes the amount from this point that you set up here, random change in each direction by this amount. So with it all the way up, particles can start either all the way opaque or all the way transparent randomly, and with less, it's a smaller effect from wherever you put it. So, and then we've got the speed. So the speed is how you would fade it in and out over time. So we want this one to fade out, so we put it at -0.3, and the particles fade out at -0.3 per second, so a little over 3 seconds to fade all the way out. The delay time is kind of like the pre-roll up above. For each particle, this is how long it takes before it starts fading out or in. So it stays at its start opacity for 2 seconds now and then starts fading out. And the delay time range is a way to, again, set that randomly within a range. So if we set this to 2, then it will be up to +2 or -2, but random ranges in between for each particle, which again gives it a much more natural look. You can see some of these particles are sticking around much longer than other ones, and that's because their delay time was higher, so they didn't start fading out until later in the animation. So anyway, that's how we've got it set up here. Obviously, you could set up different ways. If you wanted this to fade in instead of out, you could set the speed to +0.3. You know, there are a bunch of different effects you can get if you set up the rest of the particles differently as well. We're always very interested to see what people do with these things. Actual artists, again, I always point out that we're programmers first, but we try to do our best to come up with examples that give you a good idea, but we love seeing what other artists do and how they use the tools we give them. So let us know if you make something cool. Let us know if you want to see more features in the comments down below. And you can download a Pixelmatch demo at nevercenter.com/pixelmash. And thanks for watching.